Children are obsessing over Sephora products, and it's scary. Recently, there's been a viral trend of children showing off their skincare products from Sephora and their multi-step skincare routines.
Sephora. Because it's very viral, I've been seeing.
This is very viral?
Yeah.
Many of these kids have also been seen at their local Sephoras trying on the tester skincare products and leaving the stores a complete and utter mess.
This teenager came in and destroyed our store. Look, she poked with each bronzer, and we gotta clean it. We have to clean all of this up.
Social media users have dubbed these kids as the quote-unquote Sephora Kids or the Sephora 10-year-olds. But this version of childhood is a stark contrast from what childhood should be. And I'm worried that social media is breeding a new generation of children that are preoccupied with beauty and consumerism. And it's a big problem. When I was a kid, I was preoccupied with watching cartoons, playing with my toys, and playing jump rope on the playground. But today's kids are preoccupied with hoarding skincare products from Sephora. The very nature of being a child is that you have your youth. Your skin is as supple and soft and clear as it's ever going to be. I mean, adults pay tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars pumping their faces up with Botox and fillers in order to mimic the skin that they had in their youth. So that begs the question, why are people that have youth chasing after youth? Why does a 10-year-old have to have an entire collection of Drunk Elephant products? This trend is proof that social media has truly redefined what it means to be a child. For those of us who grew up before a time of social media, we know that it was so important to our childhood development to be able to live with yourself in your natural state, to prioritize the beauty of play, the innocence of coming home with messy hair and bruised knees and grass all over your face after a long day of play. Of course, growing up in the 90s and 2000s, we did have lots of diet culture and fat phobia. You know, personally, I didn't start even wearing makeup until I was an adult. But nowadays, more and more children are indoors, huddled up against their iPads, huddled up against their smartphones, and they're becoming more preoccupied with physical beauty. Sure, us millennials definitely had our lip gloss stay poppin', okay? But that was the extent in which any of us were putting anything really on our faces. I don't think that beauty should be at the top of anyone's list as a child.
Tell me how. I went to Sephora yesterday and there was like a whole bunch of like little 10, 12-year-old girls, little preteen girls, getting Drunk Elephant, Charlotte Tilbury, all of like the super expensive skincare and makeup products. And it got me thinking, I'm here like, wow, like these girls are never gonna get the feeling of like entering womanhood. For me, it went like Claire's, then Ulta, then Sephora. Like I just started shopping at Sephora. Don't get me wrong, I still love Ulta. That's like besides the point. But these girls are just like they don't have a preteen stage the way we had a preteen stage. What do you need retinol at age 11 for? I would have really hated to be a preteen at this time and age because I wouldn't have been able to afford nothing that these little girls are affording. But two, like, where the f are the parents? Like, why are you guys buying your daughters $30 moisturizers and $45 retinols when they truly don't need that? Let your baby girls be girls. Let them play with toys. I don't know. Let them listen to boy bands. Like, why the f are they engaging in this shit? Why are they engaging in overconsumption? Let kids be kids again.
Many of you commented on my last video that children are being bullied for not having Stanley cups, and I really worry that this trend is going to even increase bullying even more.
Like, oh my god, you don't have the latest Drunk Elephant collection? What a loser.
Or like,
oh my god, your skin is so dry. What a loser.
I just see that happening. Bullying, of course, has always been a thing, but I feel that in the age of social media, it's gotten even worse because if you don't have the latest and the greatest cool product to show off in school, you're gonna get bullied.
I want a mascara. Everybody in 4th grade has one. Literally all the girls have one and I don't.
Kids are starting to wear makeup at much earlier ages. They're dressing in a way that I don't feel is necessarily age appropriate for children. Today's generation of kids are not only watching celebrities on TV, they're also watching Gen Z and millennial women do their hair and makeup and their skincare routines, and they're trying to emulate what adults do. Gen Z is also obsessed with anti-aging, which I talked about a few months ago, where they're getting Botox and fillers when they're 20 years old. So there's just an overall obsession with anti-aging, and it's trickling down to the Gen Alpha kids. Someone commented in my Botox and fillers video, they saw a Sephora kid in their local Sephora. They said, every time I go to Sephora or Ulta lately, I see groups of teen girls with perfect skin looking at retinols and anti-aging serums that they don't need. I'm tired of seeing this mentality of preventative anti-aging be peddled to young adults. So there you have it, a live anecdote from a viewer who spotted a Sephora kid in the wild.
The Sephora culture I've been seeing discussed on TikTok all over the place. It is crazy. We walk to the Sephora. We stop outside the doors. We look inside. We were like, no, we're not going in there. No way. There was maybe 50 plus 11 to 14-year-olds running around, buying makeup, throwing shit in their bags, like trying shit on. I was like, oh my God.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Why does a 10-year-old need like niacinamide or like vitamin C? Like
They
you don't.
They don't.
Like that's gonna ruin your
They
skin.
don't. I don't know. That's what
in
I'm
my
saying.
opinion. I'm not a scientist.
Not a scientist.
Right. I'm not an esthetician.
It just
here.
feels like it's leading these girls down a very slippery slope. Of course, a lot of the reasoning is just because Sammy has it, so I want it. Like it's like, now instead of cool electronics, when we would have like, we go to the toy store and we want like cool toys.
Tamagotchi.
Or we want like the diary that fucking voice locks. They go into Sephora. But I'm thinking of like an 11-year-old girl like looking at her face in the mirror and being like, oh, like I really need some new under eye cream. It's like, what?
It's crazy. And it's probably because they're watching a lot of influencers who are older who are using these things, and they just don't understand like they're older, but you are 10 years old and you shouldn't be using it.
Kim Kardashian's daughter became a poster child for showing off her skincare routines, posting tutorials on TikTok. Y'all already know how I feel about the Kardashians. Adultifying your child and putting them on camera in this way, trying to build a brand off of your children, I feel is very problematic. Not to mention the people in the comments of Kim's daughter's videos don't help either. They're literally in the comments saying things like, her face card has never declined. Oh, she ate. Oh, North looks so snatched. I think it's so problematic to be talking about children in this way. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we all remember how Blue Ivy, Beyonce's daughter, was attacked for her appearance and was subjected to so much anti-blackness. People were talking negatively about her appearance when she was a baby. Adults in our society have normalized talking crap about children's looks. And to think that children are not going to internalize that in some way, shape, or form, to think that children aren't getting all of these messages of validation and invalidation about the way that they look, it would be naive to think that they wouldn't internalize that. Particularly girls get messages very early on about their physical beauty and how that's tied to their self-worth. And so as we talked about in my last video, children are being primed to participate in consumerism. And in the skincare context, it's being framed as a form of self-care, because we know that consumerism teaches us that the more products that you have, the more happier, the more relaxed, the more content that you're gonna be.
Why have we been trained to think that shopping is the only way that we can get happiness? Why is overconsumption being pushed on us as a way to achieve happiness and peace in our life? I think it's really important that we ask this question, because overconsuming is bad for the planet, it's bad for our mental health, it's bad for pretty much everything. But it is so often painted as the only way to be happy. And I think that we need to examine that. I think that we really need to stop and think and say, wait a second, what if I got happiness out of building community? What if I got happiness out of learning? What if I got happiness out of making something rather than buying something? Who benefits when all of us think that the only way we can be happy is if we shop? Just something to think about. When you're priming children down this road of consumerism at such an early age, you're leading them down a road of perpetual dissatisfaction, because they're only going to get older and then they're going to develop acne. And then what is that going to do to their self-esteem? This pursuit of flawless skin is unattainable for adults, and it's unattainable for children to be chasing after. Parents should not be taking their kids to Sephora, and they don't need to be getting them all of these skincare products that are made for adults.
These 10-year-old girls at Sephora are crazy. But what's crazier are the parents that aren't parenting. So the other day when I was working, we were kind of busy, so the line was kind of long, and this little girl walks up to me, and her basket is literally overflowing. Like, the amount of products that were in there, she had to have been maybe 9, 10, maybe 11 years old, but regardless, definitely way too young to be shopping at Sephora. And I start grabbing the items out so I could scan them, and before I can start, she goes, wait, I have 2 perfumes on hold. Can you get those too? And I'm like, yeah, of course. What's your name? So I go grab her perfumes, and then she goes, can you scan those first so I can see how much they are? So I proceed to scan the 2 perfumes, and the 2 perfumes alone came out to $300. $300. $300. So after she saw the price of the 2 perfumes, I guess that wasn't enough. So she was like, okay, yeah, you can scan the rest of the items in the basket. So I finished scanning all her products, and her total came out to almost $900. I've seen a lot of people talking about the ways we can avoid having these little girls come into Sephora, but there's literally no way that it's going to happen without the action of the parents. Moral of the story is we can make all the story times in the world about how these little girls behave, but nothing is going to change until the parents change.
There's definitely this naivete in being a child. You just want to fit in. You really want to be cool, like more so than any point in your life. Adults also want that as well, as we discussed extensively in our last video, but especially when you're a child. So I do not want to rag on children because, again, they do not have their own agency. They're not buying these skincare products for themselves. These adults, their parents, are buying it for them. So it's up to their parents to instill this internal sense of joy, not an external sense of joy from getting a product that's trending on TikTok. Sephora has even gone so far as to create curated pages targeted specifically at children. On their website, Sephora is literally suggesting a $570 La Mer product for children and $130 Dior skincare product, a wrinkle correcting cream for children. Adults are creating the narrative and children are just emulating it, whether it's the people who are working in the skincare industry, whether it's their parents, whether it's influencers that they're watching on TikTok. Children are just trying to emulate this narrative that's being created by adults. But it's up to adults to say, this is not for you. In February of 2004, Marika Tigerman and Belinda McGill published an article for the School of Psychology at Flinders University of South Australia titled "The Role of Social Comparison and the Effect of Magazine Advertisements on Women's Mood and Body Dissatisfaction." The study concluded that exposure to full body advertisements or advertisements containing body parts increased negative mood and body dissatisfaction, as these negative effects were the result of social comparison. This study was conducted 20 years ago in 2004. Imagine how much that's been increased in the advent of social media. A 2022 survey of children between the ages of 8 and 18 found that skin conditions outranked weight as the most common cause of negative body image, and another survey from 2010 revealed that the mere image of a beauty enhancing product makes women feel bad about themselves. The beauty industry has manufactured this fear of aging that's causing anxiety even amongst little girls who are trying to combat wrinkles at such a young age. And this only fuels consumerism, right? Because they have to create the problem in order for them to sell you the product to fix the problem. The beauty industry has made billions of dollars on the premise that you're lacking something. You're lacking something that needs to be fixed. And of course, I've bought into the beauty industry. I will continue to buy into the beauty industry, but it is everyone's responsibility to make sure that we are not over-consuming, that we're not teaching children to overconsume, that we're not teaching children that they have a lack that needs to be filled by products that they don't need.
I am convinced that the rise of consumerism and the extreme end in which we live now has so detrimentally impacted our mental health. Anxiety on the rise, depression on the rise, lack of contentment just is the standard across the board, right? Why do I say that? Because the backbone of consumerism, what drives purchasing over and over again, is companies or people telling you that you have a lack, a problem, or an insecurity that their product or service can help you fix. When I stop and reflect on that, I want so much less. It benefits them to have you be obsessing, comparing, and miserable with yourself so that you will consume goods and continue to consume goods, not a one-time purchase.
We're not teaching young boys to go to Sephora and have a 10-step skincare routine. It's overwhelmingly girls. We're sending a message to girls at a very young age that you have to put time and energy into curating your appearance. How does that translate into adulthood? Girls are receiving not only implicit but also explicit signals that they need to participate in this in order to achieve social validation. We as millennials, we learned the feminine beauty ideal from the likes of Barbie and Disney movies that we grew up watching. But now girls are growing up and they're getting these messages from TV shows. They're getting these messages from movies. They're getting these messages from social media. They're probably getting these messages from other girls in school. It's like you can never escape it. I mean, sure, some of us might have played in our mom's makeup collections as kids from time to time, but we certainly didn't have our very own makeup collections and skincare collections, and we certainly weren't watching tutorials of girls doing makeup and skincare all day long to influence us. For many of us, we didn't start watching these tutorials until we were already adults and at an appropriate age to step into our womanhood. When you're watching countless TikToks of girls your own age hoarding the latest skincare products, why wouldn't you want to do the same? But these trends are not only dangerous to these girls' mental health, it's also dangerous to your physical health, because dermatologists are coming out and saying that these products were not meant for children's skin and that they can have very detrimental effects on their skin. Like Dr. Brooke Jeffy, an Arizona dermatologist, says that it is inappropriate for children to be using products that address adult skin issues like wrinkles, hyperpigmentation, and dullness, which kids do not have. The actives used in these products can be irritating, especially to the young, more sensitive skin, and cause damage to the skin barrier. This damage affects skin function, leading to damage, rashes, infections, and breakouts. And Dr. Azadeh Shirazi says they definitely don't need all of these serums, masks, oils, toners, etc., involving multiple steps. It's not designed to receive multiple products or multiple steps in a given routine. The more exposure to products, the more likely for our skin to form a memory of skincare ingredients, resulting in rashes and breakouts later in life. Adults, namely parents, play a pivotal role in shaping the minds and the desires of our youth. And it's really up to us as adults telling the kids, you don't need this. It's up to the parents to say, I'm not going to buy these products for you. It's up to us as adults to make sure children are not falling victim to being exploited by the beauty industry at such a young age. Your job is to teach them self-acceptance, self-reliance, not overconsumption and following trends. Now, children are always going to be influenced by the societies that they live in, by what they see in the media. So there's also responsibility on the media, on the beauty industry, to not try to exploit and manipulate these children and market these products to children that aren't appropriate for them. We have to let kids be kids, let kids be playful, let kids be youthful, let kids be innocent. We have to instill that in them from an early age, or they're going to forever be on this hamster wheel of trying to seek approval from men, from the outside society as a whole. And we have to do better. We have to start teaching them these lessons early on, so they have a moral compass, so they have self-esteem to pull from, and they're not relying on someone else to give it to them. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Gen Alpha skincare addiction. Have you seen Sephora Kids in your local Sephora? I haven't been to Sephora in so long. I don't even got Sephora money like that. Girl, I don't got money to be there. I would love to know, have you seen these girls in the wild? What are your thoughts on this latest trend? I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. And if you really liked it and you want more content like this, definitely hit that subscribe button, and I'll talk to you all next time.